All right. Well, here we go again with this topic. ah, yes. We are going to talk again about money. We're going to talk again about money mindset. We're going to talk again about a reorientation of your feelings, your beliefs, your narratives around money, 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 money. Money. Because, hey, big David Joseph Higdon, what's up, brother? Look, y'all, let's be clear here. Let's be clear. First of all, what I'm about to say, I say with love, genuinely. I'm not being facetious. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not being insincere. I legitimately say this with love. You need to pull your head out of your ass about money. What's up, Anita Sonia? In the house. You've got to. Okay? I just did a post saying stop pretending that money isn't important to your business. And, predictably, got some mixed responses there. So I thought I'd come on here and rant a little bit. And I rant, God, if you know me, you know I rant from a place of love. I don't want anybody to be limited in their vision, limited in their impact, limited in their desire to reach others and connect with them and help them, be a positive influence. I don't want anybody to be limited in that by an effed up idea or set of ideas. It's actually usually a complex set of narratives interwoven with one another that live in the subconscious domain. They're seldom even conscious about money. Let's dispel some facts or some rumors here. Let's dispel some beliefs here. Okay? Let's dispel some of the common ideas that do not pass the sniff test, but yet that are prevalent, rampant, nonetheless. One of those ideas is that rich people are somehow evil, or rich people are somehow greedy, or rich people are insert the belief that you have. I will tell you, if you don't know this, I came from dirt poor poverty. If this was a contest, I'd stack my poverty up against your poverty any day of the week. Okay? I came from you don't get new clothes. You got to go to school wearing unisex homemade hand-me-downs. I came from just broke. And here's the pisser. When I was in my early 20s, I discovered that the cult that I was raised in actually had enormous bank accounts. We lived in poverty while the cult had lots of money. How's that for a mind fuck? Okay? So, what you cannot do is come at me with any kind of a, yeah, but you don't understand my story kind of thing. You just can't do it. Shannon says, I don't have any problem with rich people. I just think that an apocalypse would be a great equalizer. First of all, that's pretty dark. And I'm not sure how the apocalypse being a great equalizer would be a financial thing, unless you're going all Fight Club and you're talking about blowing up the credit buildings or whatever. So first thing that we're talking about here is the mythology that rich people are somehow the enemy. And that mythology connects to the other mythology that the system is rigged against you. What's the other one? What's another good one? Corporations are evil. Now, that one's a little more slippery, right? Because let's face it, Exxon right now is rolling out what amounts to a propaganda campaign about how they're looking for ways to stave off climate change. Oh, the irony. Am I right? Yes, Anita Sonia, I was raised in a cult. You can read all about it in my book. So some corporations are flat out do evil shit, but not all of them. It's important to make that distinction. Why is it important to make that distinction? Because our biases tend to work like this. One corporation does evil stuff. Exxon would be a great example of that, right? Our mind cannot constantly manage all the minutia of the data. So over time, it switches from, we know some corporations do evil stuff, to the very, very shortcutted corporations are evil. And if corporations are evil, then the rich people that work in those corporations must be evil too. And if the rich people that live in that work in those corporations are evil, it's much easier to just use the heuristic, rich people are greedy, they're evil, whatever. Do you see? It's the insidiousness of the laziness of thought that most of us have. And so this is how these ideas that are the equivalent of a razor blade on your hamstring get into our heads. Take some time and really break it apart. I had somebody, and I'm not pointing fingers or bagging on this guy, suggest in the thread on the conversation an argument that I have heard before, that beyond a certain dollar amount, there's no measurable increase in happiness, right? So in other words, what that means is once you are settled in and making whatever it is, I've heard it said that it's $75,000 a year in the US. So above $75,000 a year, more money doesn't make you happier. Really? Really? Okay, I'm just going to spitball here some ideas for how more money would absolutely make you happier. Let's say that, like me, you've got a heart for service. And I'm looking at Anita Sonia. I know she has a heart for service. Shannon Broad. Diana Brand, I think, is the one showing up as Facebook user. David Joseph Higdon, he has a heart for memes. The point is, most of us do, in fact, have a heart for service. Most of the people in my world are some sort of coach or expert. And you don't usually get into that industry, that space, unless you want to serve people. And so to think that you can't serve more people by having more money is insane thought. It's incorrect thinking, right? If you have $75,000 a year, here's what you're doing. $75,000 a year is enough to cover your nut for a modest lifestyle, right? Shannon says, not having to worry about how much things cost reduces stress and therefore increases happiness. It's science. Nailed it. So, I mean, I've said this several times over the last 2 days because our little puppy broke his leg. It was incredibly wonderful to know that he didn't just get care. He got literally the best care. He got UC Davis Small Animal Hospital care. And if you don't know, if you're not from California or you haven't heard of UC Davis, they are a leading medical UC. And it's a teaching hospital. He got the best care money can buy. 5 years ago, that would have been agonizing for us. Agonizing. Today, tomorrow, yesterday, whatever, we just wrote the check. That's it. You tell me there's not a peace of mind in that? And are you going to tell me further that peace of mind doesn't equate somehow to happiness? Like there's no correlation between peace of mind and happiness? Come on. Come on. Look, nothing replaces money in the arena in which money functions. You don't have to become evil if you have more money. None of that stuff is true. If anything, it's the greatest lie we've ever been told because it keeps us in poverty consciousness. It keeps us in poverty consciousness. We are generations in to an idea that there's some nobility in struggling through life. Bitch, please. Let me be perfectly clear with you. I know all about struggle. I know all the fuck about it, okay? Yeah, Shannon, perfect. Exactly. Clearly, more money would make life easier. So I know what it's like. I mean, if I'm being honest, most of my life, with certain exceptions, where I started to create success and then I self-sabotaged. But other than those moments, where those periods where I started to create success, most of my life I was an object lesson in economics. And economics is defined as the study of human behavior, when it went with limited choice. No, that's not quite it. Basically, here's what economics is. Economics studies what we do as humans, how we behave, knowing that we have finite resources and that to do one thing means not to do another. Opportunity cost, right? So I know that stuff intimately. I know the choice so well of, seriously, do I buy food or do I buy gas? Right? So you can't come at me with any of this nobility of poverty garbage. I'm telling you, the best thing I ever did, ever, was learn how to make money. Because it's kind of sexy when you're young to be struggling and to be fiercely against the system. When you start to get older, your knees get a little tired and your back kind of doesn't spring back as fast as it used to. Let me tell you, that shit is not sexy anymore. It is not sexy, okay? So, you want to serve? Embrace that money drives service. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to give at your highest level, you need to feel security. And there's nothing wrong with that. Shannon says, when you can't afford the public transit to get to work to make the money to buy the food. That's right. And I know that. I know that feeling. Anita says, I agree, especially here in developing country where everything seems about money, even to get respect. Yeah. Look, you guys, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Nothing will replace money in the arena in which it functions. Nothing does money's job like money. And we tend to have, remember I just said we're generations in to these beliefs? Let me explain to you what that means. Generations in is when a belief becomes embedded in the culture. It becomes embedded in the narrative. Let me explain to you a little something you might not know about how cultural narratives work. For those that don't question, cultural narratives are the unspoken stories that we're all exposed to that literally become the confines of our reality. Think about that. It's just stories. And the stories they don't even have to be spoken anymore because they're baked in, right? And so when I say generations in, what I mean is, so after World War II and the Great Depression in particular, and after people started moving from the country to the city, there was a belief system that had to be cobbled together very quickly, an ethos about frugality, an ethos about finding dignity in spite of not having resources, because nobody had resources. And there's nothing wrong with having dignity, even though you don't have resources, right? But as it gets passed down generation to generation, and we're about 3 generations removed from that now, maybe 4 at this point. And I'm talking to people who are 4 generations removed from that mindset. But what happens is the first generation is proud men and women, right? Coming out of the Great Depression, living through that. And they have to find integrity. They have to find not integrity, but dignity. Because dignity is a fundamental human contrivance. We have to have dignity, right? And so when their kids see them having dignity in spite of having nothing, it slowly morphs in the minds of the children. And bear in mind, I'm talking about a whole generation of children across America and England and the UK and other parts of the world, because it was World War, right? So everybody was affected by this. And so the kids interpret the parents having dignity while not having resources, and then being told by parents who didn't know what else to tell them, there's more to life than this money. Translation, we don't have money right now. You see what I'm saying? And the kids interpret it little by little to mean there's nobility here. There's nobility here. We're in poverty, but there's nobility here. And then, as is human nature and comparisonitis and tribalism, we start to separate ourselves from the other. The other in this case is the people who did figure out how to make money. And yeah, if you've got generational wealth, of course the system's rigged in your favor. Look, I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't a game to be played here, right? The system is rigged in a sense, but that doesn't mean you can't navigate your way through it. So let's move 2 generations down now. Now we've got the kids whose parents were Great Depression survivors. And by this time, it's just nobility of poverty. It's changed from we're in poverty, but we're struggling and to have integrity, to have nobility, to have dignity, in 2 generations, maybe 1 really, to the nobility of poverty. Do you see how that happens? And so what you are in right now, if you have any illusions about the importance or value of money, you're in some sort of reaction to that mentality. Diana Brand says, we create businesses which can also be identified at the start as a corporation. So we all have the opportunity to grow. There is nothing bad or evil about it. That's right. I agree that it is unclear, though, that seems to be accepted in our mainstream culture. True, it's the greatest lie. Yeah, that's right, Diana. So now we're far enough away from that devastating economic uncertainty that we can start. You have to be conscious for this, but you can start to write your own story. You can start to question those beliefs. You can just simply look and evaluate the world around you, and you can know that not all rich people are evil. How can you know this? Because right in your friends list, there are some rich people. They are kind. They're decent people. More of my friends now are I don't know what the difference between rich, wealthy, and well off is, but more of my friends now have lots of money than don't. Think about that. I came up a hippie, raised in a cult, taught to reject capitalism and society, and more of my friends now are affluent than are not affluent. They're my friends. I'm a good person. Ergo, not all rich people are evil, right? Do you see what I'm saying? So with just a little bit of sort of ability to assess the situation, these narratives about money start to crumble. Shannon says, that's what I was trying to say on the thread. It's a generational wealth that I don't understand what it is to be a have-not because they've never, that don't understand what it is to be a have-not because they've never gone without. Who look at those who are just hustling to get ahead like we should have started where they are. To the extent that that's true, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's no value in focusing on those people. There are assholes at every strata. When I was dirt poor, I actually knew more assholes. So it doesn't matter that there are people judging us. Of course there are people judging us because they're people. You see what I'm saying? And again, one of my deepest, most fervent desires is to help people understand how these cultural narratives around money stop us. My belief is that my belief is this. Sorry, I got a phone call. If you listen to my message for any amount of time, you're probably somebody who wants to help people, right? And if that's the case, you need to understand and liberate yourself from these limiting ideas about money. In my life, there has been exactly 0 instances where having money was not better than not having money. There have been 0% of the time where being broke was in any measurable way better for me than having money. Just think about that. I'm going to let you guys go. I've got a call to take. Thank you, and I hope this has had an impact.